We didn't play very well last week, so our emphasis is playing better this week. We play a team that is a much more talented team than probably anybody in San Diego realizes. They were a bold team last year, have quite a few players coming back on offense, not too many on defense, but they also picked up, I think, 9 players from UAB who dropped their football program, and UAB was a bowl team last year as well. The starting quarterback was the starting this year for South Alabama was the starting quarterback for UAB last year. So he's a very experienced guy, and he's a pretty good player. Got real good speed at the skill positions, and they're pretty good up front, too. They're not real big, but they're pretty good up front.
How about their defense?
Defense is a little small in the defensive line, but they play a lot of man coverage, which allows you to put 9 or 10 guys close to the line of scrimmage if you play a lot of man coverage.
Rocky Hunky was saying yesterday that if that were to happen, that his receivers need to do a better job of the one-on-one battles. Have you kind of seen that in the film, that they need to do better at that?
Yes, I think that's been one of our issues in the first 2 games, too. People are willing to play man coverage, which allows them to get 9 and 10 guys close to the line of scrimmage. And the only way you can back them off is someone out wide. One of the wide receivers has got to beat someone man-to-man so that you can throw some passes and them score long touchdown plays, and then all of a sudden defenses back off a little bit, and now all of a sudden you can pop a run or 2. Yeah, I mean, it's real simple. You put 9 or 10 guys up there close, someone's got to get burned on a deep throw.
And it's kind of one of those things, too, isn't it, that you got to show a little bit on film with Chase or with Micah or whatever, that you guys are able to do that, right? Otherwise, they're going to.
Well, they're going to continue to do it until they think it's not worth it. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's mostly maybe the inexperience of Chase and Mike out there as far as that, or is it more of a?
Oh, there's an inexperience factor to it. Sure, there is. Now, I think that especially last week, the DBs covering them were pretty good players too. I mean, you got to give the other side of the ball some credit every once in a while. The DBs that were actually covering them are good players.
Looking back at that game on Saturday, did your defense, I mean, the penalties seem to indicate that they got frustrated in the second half with their inability to stop the run, and guys took some bad penalties. I mean, was it frustration or was it execution? Because I haven't really, and I know you haven't seen, there haven't been too many teams run the ball like that on you, kind of killed the clock the last quarter and a half.
There's a lot of ways to view that. Number one, we had 3 personal foul penalties on defense. 2 of them are the wrong call. They should be offsetting penalties. Both those kids got clipped in the back after the play was dead, and they retaliated, and they're the ones that got caught. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is last year they averaged right at 500 yards a game. They averaged right at 39 points a game with almost every single guy back on offense. And I think we held them to less than that in both categories. So the point is that if we're only going to score 7 points, we've got to play much, much better defense than we did. If we can score a few more touchdowns, that would have been a pretty good defensive effort. So you can look at it any way you want to, positively or negatively. I look at it always. I can look at it a positive way, like a head coach does, or I can look at it negatively, as a defensive coordinator does. Defensive coordinator in me says, we got to hold them to 7 points. We played lousy defense. We played terrible defense because we didn't hold their score down. Head coach, if I'm a head coach that's not involved with the defense, I'm going, well, gee whiz, we got to score more points, but the defense played okay. Look at it any way you want to look at it.
Anything else for Coach Long?
You said that, when I talked to you right after the game, you said that the coaches, you thought, didn't coach a very good game. Did that have to do with, were you second guessing some of your decisions, preparation, or just things just weren't right on Saturday from a coaching perspective?
No, I think that whenever a team, we had 14 penalties. That's way too many penalties. I think we had 5 on defense and 9 on offense. We had 3 legitimate personal foul penalties, 3 of them that were legitimate. I believe that is coaching. I believe that we haven't, and we have emphasized it, but they haven't listened. But it is our job to teach them that those kind of penalties make it very, very difficult to win the game. And we've got to get that across. I think X and O-wise, we did a fine job as coaches. X and O-wise, we did a lot of things that were good against what they did against us on both sides of the ball. Our special teams played really, really well. I mean, we could have had or should have had a couple longer kickoff returns than we did. The kids on those teams did a great job. But I think it's a coaching error when you have 14 penalties and 3, we actually had 5 personal foul penalties. 3 of them were legit. The 3, I mean, every once in a while you'll get one, but not 3 in one game. We haven't taught them well enough. We haven't coached them well enough. We haven't emphasized it enough for something. Now, hopefully, we emphasized it a bunch yesterday, so hopefully they'll understand it helped prevent us from winning a game, and they won't do that again.
Rocky, this program's been to 5 straight bowl games. Do you think the fans have responded to what you guys have accomplished by coming out to games as well as you would have hoped?
I don't ever speculate on fans coming to games. That's their choice. That's their money. They use it as they see fit. I think going to 5 straight bowl games is better than anybody expected to be 7 years ago when I got here. I would have guessed they were expecting some of the same 2-10 records, and it hasn't even been close to that since we've been able to get to 5 straight bowl games. But how people spend their money is none of my business.
Do you think they embrace the game here as much as you see in other places?
I think there are some struggles, there's some hurdles that we have to overcome. Number one, if you're in a small college town, there's nothing else of entertainment value to do, so that's much easier to build a crowd in a small college town than it is in a large city that has an NFL football team. You know, so the people that are sports fans in this town are pulled in 100 different directions. So I guess the only way to get them all to our games is to win every football game. And that's always the plan going in, but we didn't do it this year. Maybe it'll be next year. Right now I'm worried about winning this weekend. I'm not worried about who's going to show up. I'm not worried about what kind of crowds we're going to have. I'm just worried about winning one football game. That's the one on Saturday.
Rocky, some guys just step in and get it, but in all fairness to your quarterbacks, I mean, how long realistically should the developmental process for a college quarterback be? I mean,
God, I have no idea. What we're struggling with, and it might make us change our offense eventually, what we're struggling with is evaluating quarterbacks out of high school. Because most of the high school quarterbacks run a spread type offense. And you have really no idea how they're going to run or how they're going to develop in a pro style offense. So I don't know how long you would expect them to take to develop. The NFL is having the exact same issue. The 2 top quarterbacks that were picked last year in the draft were out of spread teams. One of them had a great day, and one of them was absolutely horrible. I mean, so the NFL's having the same issue. Now, you can continue to fight it, or you can join up. That's one of my biggest dilemmas right now. I mean, we can't join up this year, but we could join up next year and run the same offense, and then we'd probably have a better chance to evaluate quarterbacks. And in this day and age in football, you do, unless you're willing to run the triple option, you can run the triple option and then you got a chance. But if you're not willing to run the triple option in this day and age of football, if your quarterback doesn't play well, your chances of winning go way, way down. And then if you have an efficient quarterback and you play good defense, you can still win. And if you don't have a good defense, you better have a great quarterback to win. And there's very few great quarterbacks in this world. The NFL only has about 10 of them, and they pay a lot better than we do.
Rocky, have you been happy with the running game with Price and Humphrey?
I thought that if it wasn't for the penalties, everybody would have been happy with the running game last Saturday. I was not the first week because I didn't think the offensive line blocked well enough. We didn't get enough plays out of the running game. Last week we've got good production out of the running game. Now 130-something yards of it were called back. But the offensive line did a much, much better job, and the running backs were able to display some of their talents. We hope that it continues to get better.
Rocky, Jake's going to be in here in a little bit.
Jake's not going to be in here in a little bit. He got in a car accident, but he's okay. You talking about Feely?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got in a car accident just a little while ago.
Really?
Yeah, but he's, I mean, we're being in contact with him. He's fine. You know, when it rains in San Diego.
Glad to hear he's okay, because if he had gotten hurt in a car accident, that would be the...
That would be something, wouldn't it?
That would be the trifecta, quadruple fecta, whatever of injuries.
Our coach, one of our coaches talked to his mom, and he's all right, which is a blessing. But he did get in a car wreck just a little while ago. Yeah.
So...
So do you want to ask me would you like to ask me the question?
I'll still ask you.
Okay.
When he came back at midseason last year, to me, just from the untrained eye, he didn't look like he was quite in the shape that he would have normally been in the past. You know, it was midseason. You didn't have that whole build-up with summer camp and how hard they were.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So has he looked much more like the old Jake this season?
I think the first two games he's played a lot like the old Jake. I mean, I just read the statistics. I don't know that for sure because we don't keep them ourselves. I think he had a 10-tackle game against Cal.
Yeah, which was his most in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just some guys' careers.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think he's playing like he did before he had a series of injuries, which is good for us.
Yeah. So you're seeing the activity by him,
Mm-hmm.
the right decisions by him most of the time?
I mean, we're very lucky that our two veteran linebackers are really, really good players. Now, our young backups, they've got a ways to go, and our one new linebacker this year has a ways to go, but the two veterans are playing really well.
Dunn's been kind of the guy who started games. How is he?
Him and Randy Ricks are alternating. They're improving as we go. That's my positive take on it.
But there have been some assignment stuff too.
There has. I mean, we even had a veteran, and I'm not going to name him, we had a veteran that shocked the heck out of me that made an assignment error and gave up a 75-yard touchdown pass the other day. But players make assignment errors. They do it all levels. We threw a touchdown pass. There wasn't a guy within 20 yards of our tight end. I don't think Cal designed their defense that way.
Rocky, you mentioned what Jake brings physically and statistics. How about emotionally? What's that guy bring out on the field?
There again are two. Now we have a couple guys in the secondary like this too.
Right.
But the two linebackers are emotional leaders. They're the guys that call the formations. They're the guys that get everybody lined up. They do all that very well. Both those kids do. Calvin Munson's the other one. Both those guys do a really good job of that.
Does Jake still impress you with his size relative to what he accomplishes?
Yes. I mean, I think we got two amazing players on this football team when you consider how little they are. And I take that back. Jake's not little. He's just short. I mean, he's probably 205 pounds, maybe 210. He'll want to tell you he's 5'11", he's 5'9". Just like Pumphrey will want to tell you he's 180 pounds and he's 5'9". He's 5'7", he weighs 162.
Thanks for getting that on the record, by the way.
But both of them are outstanding football players, and them doing it when they have a lack of size is impressive. It's not the only ones I've ever seen like that, but there's not very many of them that can do that at their size.
Rocky, your team typically responds well after a loss. Is that a testament to some of the leadership on the team and learning from maybe the previous week's mistakes?
I'm glad you brought that up. People, I think, a lot of times don't realize that teams backing back from hard defeats or hard losses or adversity of any kind is not totally, but a large part is how the team leadership reacts and how they take it and how they proceed from there. Because I've been on teams where the leaders of the team were depressed the whole next week, and guess what? One loss makes another loss. And then I've been on teams, and I think this group is like that. We're going to find out. This group is probably upset, depressed, that something happened to them they didn't think would happen to them. But I think they're going to get over it and move on and get ready to play the next game. I mean, that's been the way it's been the last 4 years here. Not that we won't lose another one. I hope we don't. But there's a chance we'll lose another one and have to do this again. It'd be really nice if we didn't, especially for me.
Can you just discuss where the quarterback situation stands?
Maxwell Smith is our starting quarterback. Last week, alternating quarterbacks was predetermined before we went into the game because we wanted to watch them both and make a decision. Now, we have enough confidence in Christian that if Maxwell is struggling and we need a spark or a change of momentum or something, Christian might go in and play. But Maxwell's the starter, and as long as he's playing well and things are going good, he'll be out there until we win the game.